Okay, in this video we're going to learn how to find the inverse of a function. Now, finding the inverse is really important because it undoes the original function. And like I've told you before, mathematics is the language of computers, and I'm sure that you've used an inverse function at some point, because anytime that you've hit the undo button on your computer, you've applied some sort of inverse function. So we're going to learn how to do this, how to find an inverse right now. So the first step is to replace f of x with y, then switch x and y. You're going to solve for the y value, or the y variable, and then replace y with f inverse of x, and that will be your inverse. And then you should always check your work by just plugging in f inverse into f and f inverse, or f and f inverse. Okay, so step 1 says replace f of x with y. So we're going to write y equals 2x minus 4. And then in step 2, you're supposed to switch x and y. So we should have x equals 2y minus 4. And now we're going to solve for y to find the inverse. So when solving for y, we'll add 4 to both sides. So you get x plus 4 equals 2y. And then you should divide both sides by 2. And you're left with y is equal to x over 2 plus 2, or 1/2 x plus 2. Okay. So there's your answer, and then we should also check our work. So I'm going to do that in this blue box right here. So to check our work, we should do f of f inverse of x. And I should really write this as f inverse of x equals 1/2 x plus 2. So once you've solved for y, you should then replace y with f inverse. So this was step 4. Okay, so to check our work, we write down f, which is 2 times x minus 4, and you just put a parentheses wherever there's an x. And now you're going to plug in the inverse function in there. So you should have 1/2 x plus 2, and now you just simplify. So 2 times 1/2 is 1, so I have x plus 4 minus 4, or just x. So we've just checked that f of f inverse equals x. And you can do the same thing again for plugging f into f inverse. So I'll do that real quick. So either one of these checks would suffice, but I'll show you both ways. So in this case, we would take f inverse of f of x, which would be 1/2 x plus 2, and we're going to stick in there 2x minus 4. And again, when you simplify, you get x minus 2 plus 2, which is x. So that worked out. So that's the process for finding the inverse of a function.